Since 1983, the Selinger School has recognized those in the business community whose public examples of outstanding leadership have set them apart. Vision, commitment, innovation, responsibility to the community, all are integral to this selection. Tonight, we honor another in an extraordinary line of individuals who exemplifies this definition of business leadership. As Chief Executive Officer of Dupont, Ellen Kullman is both steward of an extraordinary legacy and captain of an organization with enormous potential. Dupont products improved Henry Ford's Model T and were in spacesuits our astronauts wore on the moon. Today, DuPont's products contribute to goals as critical as disease control through antibacterial agents, food production and crop protection around the world, and the safety of world leaders and law enforcement personnel with body armor and other protective apparel. DuPont is everywhere. The numbers are staggering. Operations in 70 countries, 75 research and development labs around the world, 57,000 employees, $30.5 billion in revenues just last year. Everyone in this room has a DuPont innovation in their house or office. Fly on a plane, visit the doctor, eat in a restaurant. A DuPont product has had a role in that experience. Thus, the decisions Ellen Kullman makes in her company's headquarters in Wilmington, Delaware, have the power to shape a better, healthier, safer life for people everywhere. I would like to invite Mrs. Kullman, Dean Leggio, Selinger School Board of Sponsors Chair Charles Maskell, and Loyola University Maryland President Father Brian Linane to join me on stage. Ellen Kullman represents the highest ideals of the Selinger School's Business Leader of the Year award. Exceptional business leadership and achievement defined by ethics, integrity, and service to the organization's one values. A resolution issued by the Selinger School's Board of Sponsors salutes Ellen Kullman for, quote, emphasizing innovation, creativity, and forward thinking in a company with a distinguished 200-year history, unquote. It also salutes her for, quote, sharing the Loyola University Maryland a deep commitment to behavior of the highest ethical standard and profound respect for all people, unquote. It is a great honor to present Ellen Kullman with this resolution, recognizing her as the 2009 Business Leader of the Year. It is now my distinct pleasure to ask Mrs. Ellen Kullman, the Selinger School's 2009 Business Leader of the Year, to deliver her remarks.
Well, thank you, Mr. Dinkle, Father Linane, Dean Leggio, and Mr. Maskell. It is a great honor and a great pleasure to be here with all of the guests, the Loyola students, faculty, friends, and members of the Baltimore business community. You know, I'm deeply honored to be selected as Loyola's Business Leader of the Year, not the least because it has been an absolutely incredible year, one that has challenged business leaders everywhere. When I became the CEO of DuPont in January, the global recession had yet to relax its grip on the world economies. Markets were still in free fall, and no one really knew where it was going to, what was going to happen next or where it was going to end. We were navigating in a landscape that none of us had ever seen before during our careers. So what did we do at DuPont? Well, let me mention just two things that were key to us during this period of time. Focus on what you can control. We needed to focus the organization. They were afraid, they were paralyzed, and we needed to focus them not on the crisis itself, but on the things that we could do to make our company strong throughout this. So we had to focus not on what was happening to us, but on what that we could do to make a different outcome. And so when this crisis hit, we looked very hard at what we could control to maintain our financial strength, our flexibility during this time. We had to make sure that when the recession ended, we emerged a stronger company, more fast, more agile than our competitors. And we determined that no matter what was happening, that we were in this game to win, and we were in this game to continue the legacy of DuPont. We also made sure that we thoroughly understood the external environment. Operations were just absolutely amazing. What you thought was true one week was not true the next. And we had to get out and engage with our leadership to make sure they were out with their customers and our suppliers to understand what was going on. If we hadn't been talking to them in the last 2 weeks, we probably didn't understand their current environment. And so it was one that real engagement was necessary in order to really focus us on what our course would be through this time. And even now, as we begin to see signs of recovery, the emphasis on really understanding your markets and understanding what your customers are going through, understand those demand signals and gather that information, and really understanding that in this stage, we cannot take anything for granted. We also maintain the essential character of DuPont as a market-driven science company. No matter what was going on in the external world, we needed to still pursue science. And we looked back to what happened to our company in the 1930s. Being 207 years old, it does give us an opportunity to see what happened during the last 18 recessions that we operated through. Unfortunately, we still have that history. And in the 1930s were an interesting time, because it was during that time that we discovered things like nylon and neoprene. Now, I tell the researchers that we did it then on 2.5% of sales spent on R&D. So if we're spending 5, we should be getting a lot more out of this downturn. And interestingly enough, as our researchers point out, is that we have done more during this downturn. Now, we don't know if there's a neoprene or nylon among them yet. But so far this year, we've introduced over 1,100 new products, and that's 48% more than the number of new products we had introduced this time last year. So a real focus on innovation, a real focus on science, and a real focus on the customer and what that innovation can do for them, I think, is absolutely key. We also learned that one benefit of adversity is that it shows whether your core values are for real. We're a company that only has 4 core values, and 3 of them we have had since the inception of the company. We've had safety as a core value, respect for people, and highest ethical standards. The 4th core value, one around the environment, we added in the 1980s. And amazingly enough is that those 4 core values really are the moral compass of the company and do envelop everything we do. We start each meeting with a connect on core values. It might be an observation, a tip, something to remind us of what centers us. And we allow that to guide us through our time. So in a crisis mode, we had some real tests. People were looking to me and our leadership team on whether we were serious about our core values. Would we cut capital expenditures and put some of our plants or people at risk? Would we still maintain our high standards throughout this period? And the good news is that there was not one instance of hesitation through this period, that everyone on the leadership team in every country of the world understood clearly that our legacy there was so strong we would not let it lapse even during a global financial crisis. So we had to navigate that crisis using our core values as the core. Just last week, I was sitting on a panel up in New York that was moderated by a columnist from a major news organization, and The topic was our commitment to our core values and our commitment to sustainable growth, and which is our corporate mission and absolutely directly related to environmental stewardship core value. So the question was, in tough times, how do you make sure that sustainability isn't just window dressing? And how do you make sure that it doesn't get stripped away in terms of focusing on bottom line results? So for me, you know, it was interesting because I have spent 21 years with the company so far. And to me, sustainability and our core values aren't a program. They're part of our line organization. They're part of just who we are and how we do business. And so just as it would never cross our minds to put one of our employees in harm's way in a plant site or in a sales office in our laboratory, it would never cross our minds to veer from our mission even with a global financial crisis. So for us, whether you're in the boardroom or whether you're in the shop floor, the expectations around those are the same. So together with one of my colleagues, and ethics has been a topic, Dan spoke about it and Dean Leggio spoke about it. But I was asked to come down to the University of Delaware and, along with my chief compliance officer, engage with a group of undergraduate students on how ethics works in the real world, how we actually look at it, do it, understand it, issues that we face as a company. And I told the students that employees absolutely want to work for a company that they can trust and that they respect. And they want to feel proud about working on interesting and challenging projects that create not only shareholder value, but societal value. And so from our standpoint, we believe that that's an important part of our engagement with our employee base. Our employees feel especially proud knowing that they are expected every day to work with integrity and complying with highest ethical standards, the highest safety standards, with respect for their fellow workers, and to our environmental standards as well. So even faced with unprecedented circumstances by this recession, any attempts to cut corners just isn't the way we operate. Whether we're in the United States or China or India, that comes through with all of our people. And we've maintained our performance even in this crisis opposite all those core values and continue to improve. We have a saying, our goal is zero. And when we had an outside speaker come in one time and we had these plaques, the goal is zero, he looked at us and said, I can't think of anything where the goal is zero in business. And you know, if you didn't work for the Dupont company, that would actually make sense. But for us, the goal around safety incidents is zero. The goal around ethical incidents is zero. And so for us, the goal is zero is very much a part of our company. So this economic crisis of 2009 has been a time of absolute growth and development for me, both personally and professionally. And it seems maybe a little funny to accept award 1 year into it when I feel I'm just at the beginning of my journey. But it's confirmed with me one of my leading principles on leadership, and that is we grow as people, we grow as human beings when faced with adversity a lot more quickly than we grow faced with the good times. So when times are good, we don't take time to reflect and understand what's working and what's not. We just go with it. Yet in tough times that challenge us and make us stretch, we grow and we develop and we learn. So I've seen this firsthand in the employees that I meet and I talk with, and every week I spend time with a group of 15 to 20 employees. We call it an employee roundtable at a business site or plant or lab. And they can say anything they want, they can ask any question, there's nothing that is off limits, and there is no written notice or response on these meetings. And none of us are supposed to be able to share what comes out of that. But the one thing I want to share of what comes out of that is that these interactions help me understand what's important to our employees, what's important to their customers, what's important to the communities in which we operate in, and what we really need to set up as our goals as a company. So it is about market-driven science, but at the end of the day, it comes down to our core values. Now, just this afternoon, I had the opportunity to meet with students here on the Loyola campus and interact with them pretty much in the same way. Actually, the chair was a lot more comfortable, and Dean Leggio was a lot nicer. The questions weren't nearly as tough. And it was really fun to be able to exchange ideas with them and also to get a sense of this university and to get a sense of the character, to get a sense of the values and the content of the Loyola education and this long and distinguished tradition you have here. So I've shared with you two of my thoughts on leading a business in these uncertain times. It's around focusing on what we can do, on what we can get done and control, and it's about adhering to really our principles and, in our case, our core values, and using them as the lever of success. And obviously, we have to do all those other things in business as well. But I offer these two ideas, especially for the students that are here with us tonight. And you're preparing, as Dan is, to launch his career next spring. In the midst of a tremendous change and some uncertainty, and so I will repeat for you, focus on what you can control: your education, your skills, your gifts, your plans, your friendships that you have, whether it's with fellow students or faculty. And know your values, know your principles, and hold on to them, live them, and never, ever compromise them. I will long remember this honor tonight that you have bestowed upon me, both because of the sincerity of it and the interactions that I have had today on this campus, and because of the significance of the timing relative to the financial crisis and everything we in business have been through in the last 12 months. So this difficult year is coming to the end with great relief among many of us. But this long history we have of great enterprise and the privilege that I have in leading this company is not lost on me. I've been very fortunate to have many good and capable people working alongside me. And with them, I look to the future with an expectation of continued growth and success, and wish the same for you in all of your endeavors. Thank you.